All right, just a quick update before I start showing updates in the Sonoma. We have a little bit of a put together a board here just to keep track of all the stuff in the Sonoma and the things that are going on. The things to do list as well. What did? We rebuilt a thermal quad, did a 72 Duster 340 carb distributor and tune-up. And on the other thing we have there is we pick up an engine, 4.2 liter, it's behind me. We have a 360 Dodge coming, but we'll touch on that later. So where that stool is where the TBI 350 once rested after the first video we did. If you recall, we had another one coming in, so we disassembled that one, then we had one coming in. We were going to film the assembly of that one, but then it became time sensitive and we weren't able to film the assembly. I started to, but then we had to have it together that day and it just wasn't going to work out. I didn't want to do a half-assed job. I wanted to go through a complete assembly. So I just sent it to the machine shop. We'll get this done. We'll figure it out when we're going to get it back. I think they said 6 to 8 weeks. So here we go. We'll just get it off here now and it's in the back. Alright guys, get it dropped off. And it should be back in about, I don't know, 4 weeks I'm guessing. They said 6 to 8 weeks, a couple weeks ago. Until then, we'll keep working on the Sonoma, and we have a 4.2 liter from a 2007 Chevy Trailblazer. Apparently the other engine self-destructed. So we'll be doing the install on this. It's a 4x4. It's it shouldn't be that bad of an install. Never done one before, but we'll be doing that here ASAP. As far as the Sonoma goes, we have some updates here for you on that. Still working with the radiator, the fans, and the rad support. I went a little too far on the rad support. I was kind of learning how to weld, and apparently I learned how to use a grinder, and just spent a whole bunch of time on it. You know, I didn't really make it any better. I still want to retain the air conditioning radiator and the radiator together, even though they do touch each other. I don't think it's a big deal, but they are going to be, I relocated the bottom mounting for the rubber mounts, and then it'll bolt in up here. 2 bolts. That's the top of them right there. So when I get it all together and it looks really nice, it'll show up on a video, but that's where we're at right now. So anyway, here's some of the stuff we have going on since our last video. Okay, we got our heater hoses on. They're tucked in there pretty good. They're it looks fine. All right. So next, let's do the oil dipstick. I put some oil on the end of this, so hopefully it goes in a little bit easier. Then after that, we'll use this adapter from ICT Billet to put our oil sending unit in. So we're going to run a factory style oil sending unit. All right, so let's start with the I'm probably going to wish I would have done this earlier, right? Yeah, probably. All right. It didn't seem so, oh, let's get rid of that plug wire. Well, no worries about those falling out. Try and get this thing straight. Okay, let's see what we can see down here. Need that O-ring to go in. Okay. Just give it a couple more wiggles here. Okay, so that didn't go quite as planned. Ended up having to take the header off. The dipstick went in relatively easily, but the angle it needed to be didn't work with the headers I had. So you might want to watch this if you're doing the same thing. But while we have this all apart, I'll put the oil sending unit in right now as well. One more thing to consider when you're doing this, okay, is if you don't have the proper sensor socket, you might want to put this on the bench, okay, before you try and put it in. So let's see if we can get this in there. Can't hurt to see back there. I think I'll have to put you down for this. Also, when putting in the sending unit, I shouldn't have stopped there. You're going to need a short 7/8 wrench. Put a little bit of sealant on the threads. I forgot that I didn't have the washer. I came back and grabbed the washer. The install on this is pretty easy actually. The steering arm obviously goes up. Push it up, and right here there's a lock. And what it is you have your threaded area, a small area, then it comes back to threaded area again. So threaded, smaller, threaded. A little indent. So basically you just file. I took a file, but just on the end, and made a flat spot for that set screw to sit. And that was it. What you want to do when you do this is make sure you lock your steering and make sure your wheels are straight, because you don't get a second chance, right? So when you're taking your factory one off, and if you haven't yet, lock your steering, make sure your wheels are straight, and then take it apart. That way, when it goes back together, it'll be in the right spot, okay? We have our oil pressure senders in. What we'll do now, we got to do fuel lines, but we're going to try and do a temperature sender. Right, so we drilled that fitting out to 5/16. See what we got here. We drilled it from the threaded side down to try and center it. I wanted to keep it as strong as possible. Right on, it worked. Yeah, let's get that installed. Today is exhaust day, so let's see if we can get this all figured out. We have some good clearance there. It's 2.5 inch, if anybody's wondering. And we're just measuring some stuff up here. One of the things we need to do is figure out where we're going to put our O2 sensor. So right now I'm just going to figure out where I want to put that. I'll make a mark and we'll get welding. Guys, we're going to look at the rad support here real quick. So a couple things here. There's a couple different ways people are doing these. A lot of guys will cut the bottoms out, and they'll drop that part of it down a little bit for the rad support. And that works, without a doubt. And what it'll do, in my situation, I need to lower my radiator about 1 inch. My radiator's too tall, then obviously we'll have a problem in the area where the rad cap goes here. So we need to, pardon me, no, it was there. So we'll need to address all this, okay? So when you pop your rad cap out there, or close to, one of the problems is going to be hood clearance. We don't have a lot of hood clearance, so I don't want my rad cap much more than this level. Unfortunately, I need my rad to go up a little bit higher than it would say here. So you can see from the, we've trimmed about this much out of this rad support right here, okay? Then we trimmed the side because the radiator we're using is wider. On a side note, we're using a 4.3. I don't even think it's an HD, just a regular 4.3 radiator. So we had to trim that, plus the panel in behind it. Now the radiator fits. It still doesn't fit in here though. Like it won't fit in here, even with this trimmed. So now we're gonna knock these out of here. We're gonna flatten these. We're gonna drill out the spot welds that hold this all together on both sides. And we're gonna look at dropping it. Now, if I just have, say, the bottoms of the rad, there's a difference here in height. If I could drop it to that and use my factory mounts and notch the top for this, it should go in okay. Then I got to figure out a way to hold on to it. That's not the rad we're using, it's just the one that's sitting there right now. So I'm going to try a couple different ways. I'm going to lower the bottom ever so slightly and cut the top. And if that doesn't work, then we'll go to this one and just cut the bottom out and drop it. I just want to try a couple different things, but that's where we're at right now. We trimmed all the way across here. Okay. And we trimmed right here. And now we're going to do the bottom. So I'll keep you updated on how this is working out. Okay, as mentioned earlier, we have our plugs in, we have our plug wires on. And we did the oil dipstick. Ask me how that worked out. We have made a little bracket for Summit brand transmission dipstick. I bought the longer one. I'm glad I did. Some people might prefer the shorter one and bolted to the firewall. I like that one. Alright, we made the bracket, like we said earlier, for the heater hoses. Basically, we just put this in a grinder, the inside of it, and took the notches out so this hose fit in without pinching it. Alright, air conditioning is mounted, mounts, headers, everything's in. Like I say, dipstick's in. Front accessories, well, to that point, you're done. Okay. Transmission lines, they're hooked up. Now, we use steel braid PTFE lines. And when I went to put the 90s on, it's very close to the cab. So, that was I was a little bit worried about that. It was a little bit of a fight. Steering shaft in coolant temperature sender. You've seen we drilled that and we made that. We have our oil sending unit in the back. We have our fuel pressure gauge and hose all hooked up. Yeah, I know the gauge is pointed that way, but when I look at it from the side of the vehicle, I can see exactly if it's 50 or 60 from the angle I'm at, so it works perfect. We use the heat sleeve. Oops. We use the heat sleeve all the way down, and when I finish mounting the fuel line, I know that looks kind of not cool, but honestly, it's the best way to go, because if you start looking underneath here and where the other header is, there's really no room in there to do anything. So instead of running it up against the header just to see how good that fuel protection sleeve was, or that heat protection sleeve was, I'm going to run it around the booster. We hooked up our brake lines to our ABS unit. We're going to keep it. And that was fun. After you bend these things a few times, they're a lot of fun to figure out. Most of the wiring, we're going to be starting on the wiring here right away. Everything down below is done. Cross members in, charcoal canisters in, fuel tank, fuel lines are done. Charcoal canister line is done, fuel filter is done. Exhaust is welded up. Well, 2 bungs are welded in, so that's up to the mufflers. And that's where the mufflers will end there, and then we'll do tailpipe shortly thereafter. We have a picture of... Nope, we don't have a picture. So, yeah, like I said, fuel lines are in. Let's take a quick look around here and see what else we can tell you. This is more of a catch-up video, kind of a short video. We'll finish up this this rad support, and we'll finish up our AC stuff. But we'll take a look real quick at everything else. We've got got our e-brake stuff back on. So, hey, on that note, I couldn't use my adjuster. It was so rusty, and it wouldn't unrust. They never do. Even with heat, I couldn't get that thing apart. So what we did is we broke the connector apart right here and just bought a new connector and reconnected everything. That was the only way I could do it. Okay. So like I say, transmission cross member, Corvette fuel filter, both lines. We have our feed line, we have a return line at the top. I know it looks bad because I used ties to put that evap line on, but honestly, it was just for safety. Just to keep it from ever moving. It doesn't move, it's good. It's tied to the transmission. The factory drive shaft fit, and it's in. So all this stuff is done underneath. I'll give you a shot of the, well, it doesn't look bad now, but when you're going to put the fittings on the transmission, there wasn't a ton of room in there before you start doing the threads. So we got those part of the transmission lines. We'll tie them up down there. We'll make some nice holding brackets for them, and they'll be fine. And that should be about it. We're pretty caught up. So if we can just finish up with the rad support and the wiring, we'll be in good shape. Okay, for the power steering hose, I ordered a 4.3 power steering hose for this. Here's the part number here. It's an Edelman 80276. Let's see how it fits, or if it's gonna fit. Some people seem to have problems with this, some people don't. I don't really know why. I haven't done one of these swaps before, so let's take a quick look here. All right, so, okay. Get my heater stopped. All right. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll probably have to edit out some of this because it'll probably take me forever. Actually, you know what, you guys? This is going to work out just fine. I don't see any issues here whatsoever. Well, that wasn't a real big deal. All right. Well, we'll tighten that up later on. Cool. Today we're going to just start by getting the exact location of where the rad support is going to be, so we can start trimming and trying to fit our radiator and our fan. We bought a set of Intrepid fans, Chrysler Intrepid fans from Rock Auto. These things are big and they're heavy. I was quite surprised. They seem pretty decent. They came from BDO. Not a lot of clearance down there, so don't have a ton of room to work with here. Especially with wanting to put the air conditioning rad back in there as well. So that's kind of what we're starting today. I put the other fender on temporarily just to make sure I get the exact location instead of cutting everything up and it doesn't fit. So let's get started. Alright, just keep everyone updated. Don't laugh at my strategic placement of the 2x4s. But anyway, this is about where everything is resting. We've sunk the rad in to the rad support about 1.25 inches from where it started. We don't have a lot of room though, but we do have enough room. I'm going to, I didn't want to move the air conditioning rad to the outside of the radiator, so I'm going to keep working with this. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's pretty close in some areas. With engine movement and stuff, I'm worried about it, but I don't think anything's going to hit. But anyway, it was just an update to keep everybody kind of updated as to what was going on with the rad support and the rad. So yeah, let's keep getting stuff done.